Good morning. My bookcase fell down.
Yeah, my light is falling down. It's like crazy around here. Okay, there we go. I just had to balance it out. The easel.
Okay. How's your bookcase now?
Okay, good morning.
The bookie enough?
Yeah, nothing's working. Where's my audio?
Let's see here. Oh, and neither one of our audios are plugged in.
I can hear it through my computer.
Yes, clearly we love being on time versus being tech savvy.
Ready?
Yeah, being ready.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna go. I don't know how to get my sound.
Okay. No.
Oops, edit.
Okay, I did it. I win.
Okay, how did you change your audio?
I'm
Oh, yeah, Mike. Never mind. I feel like I've had this conversation before.
Because whenever we are kind of right at the rush, we lose all understanding of technology.
We really do. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
I was right on time. I was actually here early, and then my bookcase collapsed on me.
Yeah, I was kind of running around still, but I had to get my headphones and everything. You know, I want to untangle these ahead of time.
Yeah, and everyone always likes to tell you that you
They always are. I swear.
So I was like, Nina, your headphones are tangled. You're like, yeah, 100%. Oh, you know what else I'm missing? Hey, husband, are you still in here?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I found it.
What?
Never mind. I got my earbuds. I was prepared. I swear to God. I have everything. I was really prepared. I was even early on Instagram to say, good morning. We're going on Bosses and Breakfast.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Usually I like to do that too. I've just been out of sorts lately. Oh, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Mandalee. Hi, Bree. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Rachel. Good morning, Heather. Hi, Lynn. Okay. I don't have a pen. Oh, it's fine. Whatever. Oh, here we go. I like to write stuff down just in case. Okay. So, Jacqueline, should we get on
Mina,
Instagram?
Welcome. Yeah. I'm doing the title right now. You guys are like, wow, you guys are real professional. Well, guess what? It's the morning.
Yes.
At least it's 8 a.m. for me. And I've been watching Outlander.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good. I had to quit watching after a while, though.
Well, we quit watching for like 5 months. We came back to it because now we're like, okay, let's go back. We've gone through all these other shows and stuff. And then we're trying to get through it. And sometimes it's super boring and sometimes it's great. But then when it's good and they're hour shows and then I have to keep watching them. And so then you're like, it's midnight. Why am I still watching Netflix?
I know. Last night I watched Miracle Morning documentary.
Oh yeah, you sent that to me.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good that I watched a bit of it this morning too.
Do you guys know what Netflix's biggest competition is? Do you know what the CEO of Netflix said?
Oh, television, cable, HBO.
Sleep.
Oh, I know. Oh, sleep. Oh, I was gonna say Instagram there at the end.
Sleep is Netflix's biggest competition. You and all the people out there that are like health gurus and stuff are like, are you kidding? But yes,
True.
It's sleep. Okay, which sleep and Netflix were competing for me last night, so it was a morning. All right, I'm gonna go get us live over here on Instagram, and then we'll get the real show started.
Okay, sounds good.
Hello, Instagram. It's another Bosses and Breakfast. We are going to have a fun little show today. We're really excited. Mina's going to find us. As we were waiting for Mina to come on, I was talking about watching Netflix shows last night. And do you guys know what Netflix's biggest competition is? What the CEO has said is the biggest competition to Netflix? Anyone? I know that everyone on Facebook knows because we were just talking about it. It is sleep. Sleep is Netflix's biggest competition. And last night, Netflix won over sleep for me. So it's going to be one of those days. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Okay, so some of you watching on Facebook and those of you watching on Instagram, I'm going to say something. The reason why I just kicked off that live saying, do you know what it is? And I kind of slowly went into it, was because if someone comes back and watches our IGTV later, they're going to be like, what is Netflix's biggest competition? And they're going to have to push for watch more, right? Because you only get to see like the first 15-ish seconds of IGTVs. And so in the future, when somebody goes to watch this and they're like, oh, another Bosses and Breakfast, I don't know if I'm going to watch it.
It's like
Guess what?
dot.
And then they're going to be like, watch more. I do need to know. I do need to know what their competition is. So just as it's a hook, right? And so when you're all thinking about social media, think about hooks that you can create, right? Those that you want them to tap for more, you want them to watch for more, you want them to click more to see more of your caption. So just thinking about that.
Right.
All right. So let's get some homework done.
Okay. I love homework.
You do?
No.
Some housekeeping, is that what they call it?
I did, yeah. I didn't mind it, depending on what it was.
Well, it's about our podcast review winner. So that's what it's about. Okay. So we're going to chat today. It's going to be a fun show. But first, we want to tell you all about what we do every week is that if you all, I think you guys know this, but podcast reviews really help us. There goes my voice. Okay. Start over. Podcast reviews really help us get in front of more people, right? And you all know and have told us how helpful the podcast has been to you. It's a totally free resource. It really helps you all with your businesses, and that's what we're on a mission to do, right? To help so many product-based businesses. So by leaving a positive podcast review, it really helps us get in front of more people. Apple loves it. Apple puts us in the charts for it.
Something we cannot do ourselves.
There's no way. And then also when somebody finds a new show and they look at their reviews and they start to read the reviews, it will validate for them whether or not they want to actually listen, right? And so all of you are treating, if your reviews are like, hey, welcome in, this is a fun and safe space for you to be in. Hey, welcome in, this is something that you're going to learn a lot. So we love when we get those positive podcast reviews, 5-star reviews, and we do a giveaway every week. So how do you do that? You go on Apple Podcasts, you leave a 5-star review, screen grab that review, post it in our Facebook community with the hashtag podcast review. Thank you, Sarah.
I think so. Yeah. Also write a bit of something too. You can write in like a title and some, words in there as well.
Is that how you do a review? Yes.
Yeah. Well, you said leave a 5-star review, but you can just leave like a 5-star review without words. But you do, in order for it to be eligible, need to write some words so we know that it was you.
And we love to read them, and we read them on the podcast, and we read them on this morning. And so, so you do that. You leave the hashtag podcast review once a week. Our team goes and picks someone. So this week we actually know this person, Amanda Lee McLellan. I've never said your name out loud before.
Oh, yeah.
Amanda Lee.
Hi, Amanda Lee Designs.
Yay.
He's over
thank
here
you.
on Facebook. Congratulations.
And this is
you, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Will be winning the cactus flower candle that is from Elijah Rising. On the back, it says hand-built goods that empower survivors of sex or of human trafficking. So it's basically human trafficked women who are taught how to
have a trade.
Yeah, have a trade, learn business, learn different skills. And it's a beautiful organization. We've actually met Sam, who is the she's the wholesale section person, plus, overall person. And she is amazing and kind. And you should all follow her on Instagram as well at Elijah Rising. So we send you this candle, cactus flowers, their signature scent. And then I guess I don't have it. We'll be sending you some Oasis Soap Co. limited edition soap, charcoal soap to go with it. And that smells amazing as well. So you can have a full self-care day of that. So that'll be yours, Amanda Lee, in the mail. Coming at ya.
It will. So this is Amanda's review, and it's really cute. So I want to read it. So she says, I'm so glad I found this podcast. I've listened to many different business podcasts over the few years, but this is by far the best one out there. Jack and Amina are so genuine, insightful, and knowledgeable. I learn something every single episode. So thankful they are willing to share all their expertise so they can help small business owners like me thrive. Does anyone practice their podcast answers with J&M in the shower? Because this would be fun. Hashtag shower thoughts. Hope to one day be so successful in my business that I am a guest. Love, love, love these ladies.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for such a kind and thoughtful review.
Does anyone else bring their phone into the shower, or is it just me?
Oh, I do, but I don't. I listen to only music. I
listen to podcasts.
Yeah,
nonstop
it has the best acoustic, so you're like in a concert, basically.
I actually will do Netflix and podcasts in the shower. I'm the kind of person that's like, how many things can I get done at once? And so one of the things is like, oh, I'd love to watch this show, and I have to take a shower. They should go together. Or I could listen to a podcast. So anyone else listen to podcasts in the shower? I actually remember there's certain podcasts, and I'm sure a lot of you have this. I don't know what it's called, but like it's audio recognition, but then it helps you think about where you are. So there's been times that I've listened to significant podcasts that I've had like an aha moment, and I actually remember physically where I was at that point. Anybody else? Do you have something like that, Mina?
Yeah. When I was cramming for tests, I could always pinpoint in my head where I saw it on a page.
Oh, that's different than me.
Like visual learning, I was like, okay, because I was always like, it's a different, in my mind, like a different mnemonic device. I was always like, what's the mnemonic device that I can come up with to remember this for the test? Then sometimes it would just fall into the abyss of the black hole of my brain after I took the test. But it was enough to get me, this is why I say test taking is very biased, because it's really about the person who can visually connect something for a little bit, but maybe not so much learn it,
Oh, my husband, like his memory, his visual memory, because he has to learn or read scripts and what's the word? Remember them? What's the word? Memorize.
Memorize. That's right.
This coffee can't come soon enough to my brain. Like he's visual, and Oliver too. Like my son, he can also very quickly recall stuff that he sees. But yeah, it's really interesting with me in the shower. I specifically remember a shower in like an old apartment that I had, and a conversation I was listening to, and then also what was the one? So much for listening or remembering. What's the book about the person who built the ad agency and sold it off? How I Built This?
Oh, Built to Sell?
Built to Sell. I remember listening. I remember this is real good. I'm so smart.
Yeah, it's like charades for books.
I remember where I was walking in the snow in front of my apartment in New Jersey, listening to a podcast episode about Built to Sell. So there's a couple things like that. I'm sure some of you have that too. And people are saying like they're afraid the camera would be on in the shower. I'm always like, I don't know. I'm like, they're supposed to be somewhat waterproof. So my phone does go in.
They are. They're at least the new ones are. They're waterproof.
Yeah.
Up to like 30 meters or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So it should totally be able to take a few splashes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Diane says, I listen to your podcast back to back when shipping orders. It's easy to listen and pack clothes at the same time. Totally true. And Little Love Parcel says, yes, I was listening to y'all in 2019 driving to work and vowed to do better and seriously work on my business. And did you, Little Love Parcels? That's so cool. Yeah. And we've been doing this since 2019.
Yeah. We have Little Love Parcels was in the directory. I actually bought her embroidered. She has beautiful embroidered like necklaces and key fob pulley thingies. Obviously I don't work in corporate, so I have no idea what that thingy's for. But they're amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're just little tiny embroidered little flowers. I mean, it's just so cool. So you'll have to check her out. Little Love Parcels.
And then she says, because I said, but basically what she said is, so she said in November, she remembers listening to us back in 2019. And then she says, and then she opened her Shopify shop in January of 2020. That is so cool.
That's amazing. You know what's so cool is that we really have gained some traction. I got to tell you, this is like humble brag table. So do not judge me right now, people. But we're close to 1 million downloads, which is
like so close,
crazy and so like mind blowing. We also yesterday we were talking to our press team, and we're actually going to be on Lori Harder's podcast. She is oh my God, why am I losing my train of thought here this
Good
morning?
Luck to all of us this morning.
I know. She does Earn Your Happy podcast. She's always been somebody I've admired because she's so she really helps women, like, about connecting holistically with what makes them happy. And she does retreats. I mean, at least she used to. And I've been listening to her for a long time. And I listened to her when I was like in my darkest times, like when I was at home with Layla, taking care of her after the heart surgery. It felt like really lonely. And so she's one of the people that I listened to because she's very energetic, but very authentic too. And then we were talking to her and come full circle. This is maybe 4.5 years ago. We were talking to our press team and they said that Lori Harder, we are going to be on her podcast. And when they told her, she happened to be a fan already. And
she said she was just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, she was listening to our podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's amazing. So I felt really good about that. And it was just like a full circle moment of, or, things lining up for us, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's actually one of our masterminders, Al Roker, ordered. He's like, you guys, I just got an order from Al Roker, so it's cool is like, I think there's the idea of like, we're all of us business owners were like trudging along doing this, hoping to God someone knows about us or listens to us or buys our products. Right? And then all of a sudden, if there's somebody that you respect out there in the world and they've purchased from you or they listen to you, in our case, we're like, are you kidding? Other exciting things to tell you all is can I tell them about Friday?
I'm not sure. Are we allowed to say?
I think we would. We're airing it next week.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. We have Jamie Kern Lima. She's the founder of It Cosmetics. So she's going to we're recording with her on Friday and airing this episode next week. She just came out with her book. It's Believe It, right?
Yeah. Believe It.
Yeah. And so she sold her cosmetics company for $1 billion. Okay. That's
B.
1 billion. She'll be the second
as a waitress, right?
Yeah, she'll be the second billionaire that we have interviewed as a woman who has sold their business for $1 billion. The first one was Susie Weiss Fishman of OPI. If you haven't listened to that episode, it is fantastic too. Great book. And then now we're going to have Jamie Kern Lima on. So anything that all of you that are saying I love her, any questions you want us to ask her, you can pop that in. She started as a Denny's waitress. She was a morning newscaster. Then she had rosacea, and her makeup would kind of be exposing her rosacea mid-show, and she'd get like a message in her ear from her producer that would say, like, your face is turning red. So she could not find cosmetics out there to cover her face, so she created her own. There was a need in the market, and then she had a lot of no's until she finally had a yes, and she got onto QVC. She sold for 8 years on QVC. She'd do like 250 shows a year, where she basically had to buy a house in Pennsylvania where QVC is, so that because she was there all the time, and then built this business. It's the biggest cosmetics brand in the world right now, bigger than MAC, bigger than anything. And L'Oreal acquired it, and she sold it. And she also realized at that point that she was a little bit burning out. Oh, and she's in business with her husband. So she built this whole thing. It was her and her husband on board. So we're really excited about the interview and to share with you all the things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This has been an exciting week. So
we also have another set of people that just approved us that I am so excited about. I'm like mega fans, but we'll have to tell you guys when that's fully confirmed.
Yes. So many good things happening. So Jacqueline, what do we want to talk about today? Did you get my second Voxer?
I did not. You usually Vox for me about 35 seconds before our meeting. Hold on.
Yes.
Somebody wanted to know. It's called Believe It. It's a book by thank you, Nicole, for putting that in. So Believe It by Jamie Kern Lima. She is on all the time. She's very positive and that. So what did you just go? I'll talk about anything. Whatever you Voxered me about.
Well, it wasn't a fully thought out idea of what we could talk about, but I thought it was timely. So all of you can tell me if you think it's timely or not. But yesterday I went for a walk. It had just rained, and I thought, I love the change of seasons. It's when I become really reflective, and I feel like, it feels hopeful and exciting and new anytime there's a change of season. So I thought we could talk about a bit about like spring cleaning and spring cleaning our businesses, spring cleaning our thoughts, perhaps, that version of what we're going to step into for this new season of our lives. What do you think about that?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay. So where to begin? Our lives. So cluttery.
You go, because I'm just posting I'm posting a comment over here.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure where to take this really, but
give me 1 second that because we should make it a clean, clean the part. I'm just putting doors closed real quick. Doors closed for our applications for the Product Boss Mastermind on Friday. So if you are considering applying, get your applications in. We are pretty much just a couple spots away from being completely sold out this round. So it's theproductboss.com/mastermind. Get your applications in. We are right now looking for businesses that are just around six figures to multi six figures or seven figures. If that's you, if you are 50 to 60,000 a year in revenue right now, and you feel like there's momentum, you could also send your application in. We are taking some really fantastic businesses in that range too, but we are looking for that 6 to multi 6 too.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start over. So spring cleaning. So we're going to talk about spring cleaning and how we can spring clean in our business, and what does that look like, and what are some things that might need to happen for spring cleaning, right?
Yeah. So I think, a good way that I like to start with this is if any of you have the done method, we talk about this in the done method, and it's the D, which is designate your space. Designate your space. Okay. And so when people do that, they think space has to do with physical space. They think it has to do with being in an office or a workspace, or perhaps wherever any of you work, whether it's your inventory room or whatever that is. And it is, of course, spring clean those areas, but it really has to do with more than that. Spring cleaning and designating your space is your workspace, as well as your mental space, as well as your calendar space. So all of those three things. So I'm going to say that again: workspace, calendar space, mental space. So what are you doing to spring clean that for yourself in a way that maybe it's not, it's really thinking about what you have existing and moving forward with the things that you want and letting go the things that you don't want. That's really what spring cleaning is about. Okay. Stepping into this new season.
Workspace, calendar space, and
mental space.
Mental space. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start with mental space. Okay. Mental space. So it could be that you sit down and think about what thoughts are serving me right now that I want to carry forward, and what thoughts are not serving me anymore that I want to let go of. That's a simple exercise right there, right? I think we all have thoughts, especially in the time of a little bit of traumatic feeling as we hit that March 15th time and felt very heavy in this time of, oh my gosh, the things that happened in this year. And yet we need to process it, but yet we still need to let it go. Okay. It moves through us. And so some thoughts that might not be serving you. One of the thoughts that I kept going back to, and you maybe go back and forth on some thoughts or some examples, but one of the thoughts for me is I was watching Miracle Morning, and it really lit me up. I actually tried Miracle Morning. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a book by Hal Elrod. It's based off the framework SAVERS, which is silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribe, which is writing. And so I did it for a while, and I actually was pretty great at it. I would wake up, and this is before I met Jacqueline, and I would wake up and I actually bought this one ticker timer. This is before, Alexa and everything like that. I bought this one ticker timer, plugged it in. So at 6:30 in the morning, the light would automatically turn on by itself. And then I connected my aromatherapy thing to it, and the aromatherapy would start. So I would wake up by my senses and by the light. Anyways, I did it for like 3 months and it was
great. Did you have children? I mean, did you have a baby at that point?
Yeah. Okay. I had 2. Yeah. That was, this was, I wanted something different. So it was after during the heart surgery time, it was like trying to like kind of pull myself out of the funk, out of the, hardship and feeling that way. And it did help, but I didn't stick with it. And so, but I felt like I wanted something. So anyways, one of those thoughts that I'm having again right now is that I'm not a morning person. And I think that holds me back a lot. Since Jacqueline moved to the West Coast.
I didn't move. I've just been traveling.
Yeah. Well, you've lived there for a year. So
no, I haven't.
I mean, practically,
it feels like for you. But anyways, I digress. I've been traveling and I've been on the Pacific, like on this side, on this coast.
So since she's been on the West Coast, usually I would wake up and I would kind of like bounce out of bed because Jacqueline was an hour ahead of me before. And I would wake up to
her up.
And it was like, it was an easy wake up. I'd be like, oh, what are we working on now? Now, I mean, I'm waking up at like 8:30. Today I woke up at 9:15. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So
basically you and I are waking up at the same time.
Yes. My whole clock is thrown off. So that's just one of the thoughts. It's a very simple thought. It's not a profound one by any means, but it's one that I often go back to, that I think I want to tweak that in my brain. Because no matter what your brain thinks, if you say, I am dumb, your brain believes it. Your brain does not know the difference between truth or myth. So your brain will believe whatever you're saying. Hence the power of affirmations. So if you say to yourself, I'm not a morning person, it's telling yourself that you are indeed not a morning person. Anyway, so that's one of the new things I've been working on, is waking up or thinking about how I want to wake up.
Yeah. And speaking of that, and I say I'm a night person, right? And it's kind of the same idea, right? Because I would, especially creatives, how many of you feel like your creative time is at night?
At night.
It's a problem. Like it goes dark and I'm like, oh, now I can start a new project. I'm going to paint a wall, or I'm going to build something.
The world is quiet.
Yes. And I think I was trained like that in art school, because we would have major deadlines and we would work on it through the whole night. I mean, where we'd wake up, we wouldn't go to sleep. It'd be like 5, 6 in the morning. I'd be calling my like college classmates and being like, did you get your project done? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it would be an IV of coffee. So it was this definite grind. And I think artistic people get in a zone, and when it's quiet and it's dark, you get to stay awake. We're talking about whether you're a morning person, night person. We're actually talking about spring cleaning our lives, right? So so I'll tell you that one of my biggest struggles, not necessarily saying the idea of night person, but what it actually was, is I wasn't getting enough sleep. So I started working with like a health coach this last year, and she's like, the best time, the most recharged time for your body is from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I really had to figure out how to get in bed and try and be asleep somewhere in that realm. And usually now it's like 10 to 10:30. So cut to, I can actually get up in the morning and have energy. And I realized it was because I was doing myself this disservice of constantly staying up so late, that obviously I'm not a morning person, because I was up 6 hours ago.
In the documentary, it says that the thing that holds the most weight is getting up at the same time every morning. So not necessarily that you have to sleep at the same time every night. You just have to consistently wake up at the same time every morning, no matter what day it is. And so that really helps like your body wake up in a certain way. So the waking up part is the major part.
So we're talking about so we're talking about spring cleaning ideas. And right now we're talking about mental space, like spring cleaning mental space. So here's another idea from mental space for all of you. So Mina's talking about thoughts, and thoughts that your mind doesn't know whether it should believe or not. So what thoughts are not serving you? And then the other side of mental space is actually creating your plan. So what does the Q2 look like for you? We're all on the cusp of April, which is Q2. While we all have, and if you work with us, we've created 1-year plans and goals. We all have these 1-year goals, or 2021. What do we want to do with it? But you have to break them up into segments. We don't know what's to come, and probably the most we can kind of concretely plan for is the next quarter, the next 90 days, right? Which is what we're working on in our masterminds. It's what we work on for those of you in multi-stream machine. We like to focus on the 90 because you could take action. So Mina and I did this yesterday. We have our year goal, like our revenue goal. And then we've broken it up into quarterly chunks, and we more or less know what we've hit in Q1. We know what we need to continue to hit our goal. And then we're like, what are our initiatives? What are we doing? What are our promotions? What are we selling in Q2? Mm-hmm. So I think as you're all thinking about mental space too for spring, there's also the idea of like putting it down on paper, creating a plan, and knowing what am I going to do April, May, and June for my business. And that helps put stuff out and make a plan so that your brain energy doesn't have to feel like it's spinning, but rather you can look to paper and say, oh, this is my plan for the spring.
Right. And I think that quarterly does indeed help with mental space in that you get it out of your brain, but also because it's really hard to be busy every single month and be up here. You're going to always go, it's ups and downs. There's busy months and slow months. So as you move into it, like for example, February was a slow month for myself and Jacqueline. And then it will be June, that will be a slower month for us as well. So when you dip, and you instead look at the plan holistically in a way of holistically quarterly, it's helpful to you because you don't spiral out thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening? Nobody's ever going to buy again. What do I need to do? Now I need to change everything. It just gives you a little bit of clarity into what an average would be for those months, but also what your goal is for the quarter instead of monthly. Because if you all have a team, and even if you don't have a team, it feels disappointing or discouraging to yourself and your team if you're constantly looking at the slow month and feeling like it should be the same as a busy month, right? But really, when you look at it, it should just hit the quarter goal, right? Because everybody has slower months. I mean, you want that actually. You want to have those peaks and valleys,
I actually don't remember what we did in February. I just know that we were busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? So in February, we were gearing up for March, which is when you have all heard about the masterminds. We reconfigured the mastermind. We built it out. It was a new product. So for all of you, as you are in those other slower months, or maybe the revenue isn't as high, but you are working on something. So whether it's working on your spring collection, whether it is working in your business versus on your business, right? When you work in your business is when you're really busy. When you work on your business is when there's maybe some more space in your calendar. I love this over here. We've got 2 masterminders on Instagram. So Be Happy Designs. Brooke says, so close to my Q1 goal, planning it out like this has helped so much because she's worked with us in the mastermind to plan out her goals. And now she knows she's going to hit her Q1. So what does she get to do with that moving forward into Q2? She gets to see what worked, what didn't work, what felt aligned, and what she's going to do next. And Made for Mama Shop, who's also in the mastermind, was like, yay. So I'm really excited for all of you to think about that. So that was mental space. Those are a couple ideas, right? Mm-hmm. What thoughts aren't serving you? And then what thoughts and plans can you get out on paper as you start to plan for the next 90 days for the next quarter?
Yeah.
All right. What would you like to go to next? Calendar or space?
Physical space seems relatively easy. So physical space for all of us probably changed a bit when our kids came home. At least mine did. I was already working from home, but the way that I've always been the most productive is that I know ultimately that I don't need a lot to get to work. I think that when people procrastinate, sometimes it's a productive procrastination, sometimes it's a perfectionist procrastination, meaning they need their office to look a certain way. They need the aesthetics to feel a certain way. They need they need to redo the bookshelves, But realistically, you actually just need a mode of whatever that looks like. And the workspace is you and your computer typically, and your product, right? So I like to bare bones it of I enjoy my office. I actually put my makeup and stuff in here and it makes me feel a certain way. Sometimes I'll rearrange my office. But when before the kids were home, I basically knew that if I threw my laptop, my headphones, my what else was there?
Notepad.
Notepad. Yeah, notepad. And those were the only things I needed. Into a tote, I could go anywhere, the library, the coffee shop, on a trip if I really wanted to. And I could still be really productive. It wasn't like I was waiting for like the perfect scenario. And I think that that's sometimes what holds people back. They're like, oh gosh, I want to work, but this, and this is really distracting me. I need to do the dishes. I need to do the, a load of laundry or whatever it is. So physically, I think that we have to remember you need very little to just show up on video to talk about your product. You need very little to optimize your website, right? On Shopify. You basically have everything that you need if you have the internet, and you don't even sometimes need the internet. You know?
There's things that you can hand to paper, but
the other thing was my phone, because a lot of times you need your phone to take videos.
Yeah. So I think the thing here is that, and tell us if you feel this way or what you do, but Mina and I, when we're feeling anxious or stressed out or kind of like stuck, we'll clean. So we'll organize at that point. Like give me a good cutlery drawer or like a pantry. And I'm like, okay, if I can put this into organization and be busy, then it'll help me do something. A lot of times you'll spin out into anxiety because you don't have an answer yet, right? You're just kind of like you're cycling and spinning. So sometimes the act for me of putting something away and seeing a finished result, like I have to do something and I have a result, makes me kind of feel like I'm settling. So there's that. There's also people though that will, like Mina said, they'll be like, I can't, maybe you guys all have to, do some sort of production and you keep putting it off and you're like, I just can't do it because this place is a mess. I'm going to spend the next 2 days and like purge all of my inventory. Well, that might not be the thing to do at that point, or maybe it is to get you going. So I think spring cleaning is a really good time to look at your product. So if we're going to talk about real actual spring cleaning, this would be a really good time. There goes my voice again. Sorry. This would be a really good time for you to look at your inventory, to count your inventory. If it's not a busy time, because we're going to get into a busy time, count your inventory, look at it, start to track it, and know what you have. Again, like for me, it's like my mental space, knowing where we're going and then knowing what I have. So that would be a really good time for inventory. And also, where are you working? Is there a day or two that you can like clean up your work table, your ship station? Can you get that organized, or do you have someone on your team that can help you organize, right? But don't let that be the thing that you're doing because you don't want to do some of the work that you have to get done, because that is a thing too. So I think it's the idea right now with spring cleaning is also knowing where you stand. What are we going into? We have some major holidays coming up. We have Easter for some of you is a big deal. We have Mother's Day, which is
graduation.
Father's
Summer
Day
is coming. So many things. It's basically the second, lump of promotional time for consumer buying that you all have to kind of get ready for. Now, I do think that you could definitely purge and things like that. But I love what Jacqueline is saying about getting organized with your inventory. What do you have on the shelves to sell? What do you need to produce more of? I know a lot of people said, but what if I'm making, then I need all these things, aside from my computer or whatever. That's what somebody had said over here on Instagram. Kind of, right? Because production is a different department. I'm thinking of you guys as the visionaries of your business, right? Susan Gordon Pottery, for example, she is a maker. She owns a pottery business, but she has people who make for her. So ultimately, even though you're a maker, you would do that in the times when you want to be making. You want to be making, right? Not in the times when you actually should very much step into being the visionaries of your business as well, because you'll need to have that in the strategy that comes up for your business as well. What promotions are you doing? What offerings are you going to be giving your customers? Where's the focus that your team is going to have? How much production is there going to be, as well as, how are you going to sell it? Right? Those are things that very much need to be done by you probably, versus you actually pouring the candles, you actually putting the wicks in there, you actually checking to see how, organizing the inventory or whatever that is. So that's kind of where I was thinking when I was giving that example.
Yeah. And I think we're talking to, depending on where you are in your business, right? The goal for all of you is to do what Mina's saying, right? So the goal for all of you is, as much as so many of you are the makers, who's a maker here that's doing everything, as you start to grow, and put it in the chat, as you start to grow, exactly what Mina says. And so this is, again, maybe some of that mental clutter is, I am the only one who can do this, versus your zone of genius as the owner of this business, as whether you want to be the CEO, the creative visionary officer, just the boss of your business. Your real role is exactly what Mina said. You're strategizing, you're looking long term. If you had a team member, that team member would come to you and say, this is our inventory, what do we do with it? And you get to make the decisions of, well, what do we do? What do we need to put on sale to move out and turn back into cash? What are we going to bring forward as our new spring collection to sell for Mother's Day, which is a really big season, right? What strategy needs to be built in? That's where we're trying to get you to. That's what we do in our masterminds, right? That's what we're working on with them, whether they're just about to hit 6 figures, whether they're 6 figures, multi 6 figures, or even 7 figures. It's the same thing throughout all of the stages of business. Is there's always going to be that mental strategy that you all do as the owners and the bosses. And then there's going to be the doing. And eventually we're working on trying to take the doing off your plate, because one day you'll have a team that is doing your production and it's their responsibility to clean up that area, right? Not you. You guys aren't going to, even though, there's some nights you might be like, I'm just going to organize the whole place. So,
I mean, even if you had one person, imagine, even if you got 2 hours back in your day, what that would do for you mentally, right? So that is, even when you don't think about a team, just having one additional person helping you is all the difference. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and we've seen that real quick. That's happened even in when it's not COVID times, or those of you in certain places right now. It's like, I've seen some videos of Nashville. There's no COVID there, it appears. Like
which would be amazing.
Downtown Broadway is like as if it's spring break in normal days. So depending on where you are in the world and how you're approaching the pandemic. But another way is getting your house cleaned every other week. Right. So it's not that they're cleaning up your workspace, but because you save a few hours back of your day to pay somebody to clean your home so that you can do the things that are the needle movers, right? Spend time with your family, or do more work in your business, that kind of thing. Right. So just thinking about it, the help can be personal and the help can be for your business, but it's about you all as the boss getting your time back. All right. So let's quickly then switch over to the last part. So it's physical space we talked about mental space. So let's talk about calendar space for spring cleaning.
Right. Calendar is super effective. For me, it was, what time do I want to start my day? What time do I want to end my day? So Jack and I will bookend our days. What time do we start working? That's different than what time I wake up, right? What time do we end our days? What time do my kids eat? A big tip for all of you when it gets back to normal life, and maybe you are in normal life, is you plan around transition times. So usually, your most hectic times are transition times, like the morning to the work time, the kids going to school, the kids getting off of school and coming home. That's a transition time that it feels more stressful.
Bedtime.
So you plan around. Yeah. Bedtime is another one. You plan around those. So that way you're like, oh, okay, now, there's all these, other bosses around me, which are your children, obviously. And so, it's, you can't really control all the happenings during that time, So I found that to be really helpful. But one of the things when I woke up this morning, is that I actually, like, if you, in that documentary, they're talking about drinking water in the morning, right? And so that's the first thing that you should drink. And then you should drink coffee. So what did I do when I woke up in the morning? When I woke up this morning, I actually the night before put a cup of water next to my bed. I mean, it was covered. You could put a water bottle and you just have it there. And then voila. I mean, it was still cold because, these are one of those, insulated ones. And then I have that straight away in the morning. So little things like that make it super, super easy for you to go by your calendar. But really it's, controlling when you start your day, so then it helps with your mental space. For myself and Jacqueline, for example, when we didn't start and end our day at certain times, I mean, we're such workaholics that we would, just work all hours. We wouldn't stop working. We'd work through lunch. Sorry, I don't know where that sound is coming from. Is your Voxer on perhaps, or mine?
You can hear Voxer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't hear it.
And then it's throwing me off my thoughts, and I don't know if I finished that thought.
Okay, start over.
I'm not sure where I was.
About
calendar space. Okay, yes. Okay. So when Jack and I actually didn't bookend our days, meaning we had specific start times, I think it's mine. I'm not sure what's happening, but I can't finish my thought here.
I'm closing my windows in case it's me.
We basically would work through lunch. So now what our assistant does, not her assistant, our OBM, is that she puts in our calendar when we should eat, when we should walk, and basically everything that we need to do. Because in our calendar, unless it's in there, we just keep on working because we're in this trance of sorts of, okay, this feels good. I'm getting some stuff done. We even have review blocks that inside those review blocks, we actually just review things together. That's all we do. Right. So it's in our way, a way of batching. So the documentary, Emily, is called Miracle Morning Documentary. It has really nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. What Jacqueline and I are going off of right now is
it's spring cleaning
done method.
Yeah,
the done method. So the D in done method is designate your work, designate your space. And so we're going through the spaces, which is workspace, calendar space, mental space.
Yeah. So when we're talking about calendar space, which Mina was talking about the transition times, and that's a big time to plan around. The other thing that we started implementing in Q1, and we really have to get back to, but again, it's transition of seasons. So we had bucketed our time or work hours between certain hours of what we were going to do when we were front facing, when we were available. So that was one thing. And then we got into the hustle of making, right? We were making and producing. And so that time kind of threw us off. And listen, this is flexible. You all own your business. Like some days are going to be all day, all night. Someone else needs to feed the children. Mm-hmm. And then some days it's going to be, you're going to be able to feel like, oh, I set these time boundaries and I get to live within them. I set these calendar boundaries and I get to live within them. It's flexible. We have to ebb and flow with our businesses. We just have to. A business owner of any level, right, needs to still, they're going to be super busy, and then they're going to have more time and flex space. So the other thing with calendar is the ideas, and how I was talking to you all earlier about that 90-day plan, starting to put that into your calendar and knowing, well, what is the next 90 days? What does spring look like in my business, or spring transition into summer? And I say that because in normal days, May, I was class mom at school. There was like graduations, all the things, right? And May is like end of year class party, summer festivals for schools, dance performances. There were so many things that May ended up, I thought May wasn't going to be a busy month. And then I was like, we can't do anything in May. Cut to, we actually are doing something this May, but it's because our kids aren't in school. But knowing that that's coming, right? Or we've even started planning out so far ahead of, our kids will most likely be going back to school in September. And so these longer term plans that we're making have to take into account what that's going to look like. What going back to somewhat normal or kind of schedules looking different will look like versus being how we have been, which is, at home for a year. So I think as you're all thinking about calendar space, it's like, what would you like the spring to look like? Would you like more time off? Would you like to build in workouts? Would you like to build in more time outside with your kids or your spouse or your fur babies, right? And then
would you like more sleep? Would you, whatever that looks like,
and put it in your calendar. And then, but also knowing that Q2 is a tricky time because it actually transitions into summer. So there's this like transition time where school ends, and then the kids are going to be home starting in June. And then what do you do? Right. And so you have this time. It's also a packed time of April and May. What can we get done before our kids are like fully our responsibility for amusing all their hours of the day, unless you're sending them to camp. So I think as you're all just thinking about spring cleaning for your business, there's hope in the air,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel of the pandemic. But for the spring cleaning right now, to think about again is going back over your mindset. What thoughts aren't serving you? Where, what are the plans that you want to make? Thinking about your physical space. There's the traditional spring cleaning, right? There's setting yourself up to be able to work well. There's looking at your inventory. And then when it comes to calendar space, what are you putting into your calendar? What do you want your calendar to look like? What do you have to account for in terms of your personal life and your business life? And also, like we said, it's the second biggest season for sales in May. So you also have to plan for that as well.
Yeah. And when you plan for it and you're prepared for it, it helps you feel mentally ready for it and physically ready for it, emotionally ready for it, and calendar ready for it. So you don't feel thrown off and like you're chasing or, running around with your head cut off come springtime, right? You want to get ahead of it. And that will just help you overall. I think you all saw how distracted I got when my Voxer was like, which is like a walkie-talkie sound. And it was like, boop, 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 boop. Imagine that as real life, right? So it's clear that unless we set that aside and we're like, okay, I should probably turn that off before I come on, or I need to have this space or whatever, being prepared and mentally being prepared and all those things is really, really helpful for what season you have coming up. We want you to step into the season. We want you to embrace the season. We want you to feel good about the season. And it really comes down to those things. We call it spring cleaning, but it should be called something really more hopeful and fun and exciting,
I like spring cleaning because you know what else?
Huh.
So again, for all of you that sell like home goods, right? Anyone that sells physical things for the house, it's that time that people really like, they start to open up their windows again. I never knew this. Being a California girl, I didn't like, you can have your windows and doors open pretty much the entire year. And so the living in New York City, then living in New Jersey, and the winter, like everything's shut because it's freezing outside. I was like, I understand why like you open the windows and like you have the breeze and the things that spring represented even in like airflow and the lights, like the lighting outside changed, like the sun shone and stuff like that. And so I was like, I understand spring. I understand spring cleaning now. I understand like changing your physical space because you've been in this space for the winter. So by the way, friends, imagine what's going to happen with homes and home decor and stuff like that when people start to be able to invite people in again, that they're getting out of their houses. There's a lot that's going to transition. So if you sell stuff for home, this is the time to really lean into freshening up your space for spring as well.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
All right. So that was really fun. So let's transition out. We're going to have to get off a little bit early today because we have another podcast, big podcast interview that we're kicking off at the top of the hour. So a couple things, the mastermind applications are open. So if you're listening to this in real time, the doors close Friday, the 26th, which is this Friday, for the applications to come in. We are not taking any late applications. We're kicking off April 1st for the mastermind. So if you are interested in applying, please head over to theproductboss.com/mastermind. If you have questions, we're here via email, we're here via DM, message us however you know how to message us, and we will answer your questions on if it's a good space and fit for you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for showing up today.
All right. Thanks, friends.